5 minutes. That is all it takes. Not 5 weeks, not 5 months, 5 minutes a day, and you may never lose your balance again, even at 100 years old. If you are over 65 and you have started to notice that your body does not feel as steady as it used to, this video is for you. If you have grabbed a wall to steady yourself when standing up, if you have felt a moment of panic at the top of a staircase, if you have slowed down on wet ground or hesitated before stepping off a curb. Keep watching, because what I am about to share was not made for athletes. It was not made for gym members. It was made for you, exactly where you are right now. You have probably been told that losing your balance is just part of getting older. It is not. And tens of thousands of adults your age are already proving it. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you the only 5 exercises a top American senior physician recommends to protect your stability. Starting today, not next month, today. Before we go any further, I want you to picture something. You wake up tomorrow morning. You swing your legs over the side of the bed. And before your feet even touch the floor, there is already a small, quiet question in the back of your mind. Will I be steady today? Is this you? Because if it is, and for millions of adults over 65, it absolutely is, I want you to know something important. That question you wake up with is not weakness. It is not you getting old. It is your nervous system sending a very specific signal. And it is a signal we can address directly with 5 simple movements that take less time than your morning coffee. A study published in 2021 by the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity followed over 640 adults between the ages of 65 and 82. Researchers measured balance, fall risk, and what they called postural confidence, which is basically your body's ability to catch itself before a fall happens. After just 6 weeks of targeted stability training, over 78% of participants reported measurable improvements in their balance and a significant reduction in what the researchers described as fear of movement. That fear, the hesitation before a step, the grip on the railing, the slowing down on uneven ground, is not just physical. It is deeply psychological, and it responds to training. I spoke to Margaret. She is 69 years old, retired, lives alone in Ohio, and had been managing what her doctor called age-related balance decline for nearly 3 years. She had tried physical therapy twice. She had tried yoga on her television. She said the same thing both times. It felt like it was designed for someone 20 years younger. Then she found this 5-minute protocol. At week 2, she noticed she was no longer reaching for the counter when she stood up from the kitchen table. At week 4, her daughter called and said, "Mom, you sound different, more like yourself." That is what we are chasing here. Not a fitness goal, not a 6-pack or a marathon. We are chasing you feeling like yourself again. The version of you that moved without thinking twice about it. Now, before I walk you through the 5 exercises, I want to explain something that most videos on this topic completely skip over. And once you understand it, everything else will make more sense. Here is what is actually happening inside your body when your balance starts to fade. You have 3 systems working together to keep you upright at all times. The first is your vestibular system, tiny structures inside your inner ear that act like a living level, constantly measuring which way is up and signaling your brain to adjust. The second is your visual system. Your eyes feed your brain constant positional data, which is why balance gets harder in the dark. The third, and this is the one almost nobody talks about, is your proprioceptive system. Proprioception is your body's ability to know where its own parts are in space without looking at them. It is why you can walk across a room in the dark without falling. It is why you can reach behind you without turning around. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Proprioception is the first of these three systems to decline with age. Not because of disease, not because of injury, because the sensory nerve endings in your muscles, tendons, and joints, the ones that send positional signals to your brain, become less sensitive over time if they are not actively stimulated. Think of them like pathways in a forest. Use the path regularly and it stays clear. Let it go unused and the undergrowth takes over. The good news? These pathways respond to targeted movement quickly in ways that most adults your age never expect. This is why the 5 exercises you are about to learn are different from everything else you have probably tried. They are not about strength alone. They are not about flexibility alone. They are about reawakening the communication between your body and your brain. The signal network that keeps you steady on your feet. Stay with me, because the third exercise is the one most people skip. And it is also the most powerful one. Let us start with exercise 1. This one is called the single leg stand. And do not let the simplicity fool you. Stand near a wall or a sturdy chair. Keep one hand close enough to touch it if you need to. Lift one foot just a few inches off the ground. Hold for 10 seconds. Then switch. That is it. But here is what is happening underneath the surface. The moment you lift one foot, your brain is forced to rapidly recruit hundreds of small, stabilizing muscles in your ankle, your knee, your hip, and your core. Muscles that are almost completely inactive when you are walking on both feet. These are the muscles that catch you in a stumble. These are the muscles that decide whether a missed step becomes a fall or just a close call. A 2019 review published in Gerontology found that single-leg balance time under 10 seconds in adults over 65 was one of the strongest predictors of fall-related injury in the following 12 months. 10 seconds, not 1 minute, not 30 seconds. 10. Do this every morning. Start with 10 seconds. Work up to 30. You do not need a gym. You need a kitchen counter and a willingness to try. Now, exercise 2. Heel to toe walking. You may have heard this called tandem walking, and it looks simple from the outside. You walk in a straight line, placing one foot directly in front of the other, so that the heel of your front foot touches the toe of your back foot with each step. 10 steps forward, 10 steps back. What this does is force your brain to use a much narrower base of support than normal walking, which directly trains the vestibular and proprioceptive systems simultaneously. It mimics the kind of narrow, uneven surfaces that cause falls in real life. A threshold between rooms, a step down from a curb, a crack in a sidewalk. Practice it on stable ground, and your body builds the automatic response needed for unstable ground. I spoke to Howard, 72 years old, former high school teacher. He had 2 near falls in 6 months, both on his own front porch, both on completely flat ground. He said the same thing so many people say. My body just didn't respond fast enough. after 4 weeks of daily heel-to-toe walking, 10 minutes, no equipment, he went back to his porch, walked it 3 times, and called his wife out to watch. She cried, he told me. I almost did too. This is not about difficulty. It is about consistency. Small steps, repeated over weeks, create the kind of change you can actually feel. Here is where we pause for a moment. If you are watching this and you are thinking, yes, this is exactly what I have been looking for, I want to ask you something. Comment below. Comment balance if steadiness and fall prevention is your biggest concerns right now. Comment movement if stiffness, joint pain, or just feeling more mobile is your main goal. I read every single comment, and your answer will directly shape what I create next. Because you deserve content that is specific to your situation, not generic advice that could apply to anyone. Exercise 3 is the one I promised you. The one most people skip. It is called the sit to stand, and it is probably the most important functional movement you can train at any age over 60. You sit in a sturdy chair. You stand up. You sit back down, slowly, with as little use of your hands as you can manage safely. 10 repetitions, that is the exercise. But what you are training is extraordinary. The transition from sitting to standing is the highest risk moment for a fall in daily life for adults over 65. More falls happen in that transition. That split second when your center of gravity is moving, your body weight is shifting, and your balance system has to recalibrate rapidly than in almost any other daily activity. And most balance programs skip it entirely because it looks too simple. Here is the physiological detail that changes everything. When you lower yourself slowly back into the chair, what exercise scientists call the eccentric phase, you are loading the exact muscles and neural pathways that catch you when you stumble. The slow descent is not the easy part. It is the most important part. It forces your nervous system to maintain postural control under load, which is exactly what happens in the real world when something throws you off balance. A landmark study from 2012 published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology. This one was not specifically about balance, but about mortality. Found that adults who could perform a sit-to-stand movement without using their hands were significantly more likely to be alive 10 years later than those who could not. The study followed over 2,000 adults between 50 and 80 years old. The result shocked the research community. It was not about cardiovascular fitness or strength alone. It was about the integration of balance, coordination, and proprioception, all of which the sit-to-stand tests simultaneously. You do not need to do this perfectly on day 1. Use your hands if you need to. Touch the chair lightly. The goal is progress, not performance. Now, exercise 4, calf raises. Stand behind a sturdy chair with both hands lightly resting on the back. Rise slowly onto your toes. Hold for 2 seconds at the top. Lower slowly. Repeat 15 times. This is perhaps the most underestimated exercise in senior balance training. Here is why it matters so profoundly. The calf muscles and the Achilles tendon contain some of the highest densities of proprioceptive nerve endings in the entire body. They are, in a very real sense, the ground sensors of your balance system. The first point of contact between your body and the earth. the first place your nervous system receives information about whether the ground beneath you is stable. When these muscles weaken and their sensory pathways dull, your body gets less information per step. Your brain has to react to the world with less data. That is when stumbles become falls. Calf raises reawaken those pathways. They also strengthen the lower leg musculature that acts as a shock absorber with every step, reducing the jarring impact that travels up through the ankle, knee, and hip with each footfall. For adults dealing with knee discomfort or hip stiffness, stronger, more active calves can make a measurable difference in how those joints feel after a walk. A 2020 study following adults 68 and older found that 12 weeks of daily calf raises, combined with balance training, reduced fall incidence by 34% compared to a control group. 34%. That is not a marginal improvement. That is the difference between a fall that lands you in an emergency room and a misstep you walk away from. I spoke to Ruth, 67 years old. She had been afraid of her own back steps ever since a neighbour her age broke her hip on similar stairs. I would go out the front door just to avoid those steps, she told me. It was embarrassing. After 6 weeks, she was using the back steps again, not because someone told her it was safe, because her body told her it was. We are almost at exercise 5, and I want you to stay with me because this last one ties all the others together in a way that will surprise you. But first, let me name the 3 mistakes I see people your age make with balance training. Not because you have made them, but because understanding them will help you get results faster. Mistake number 1, training balance only when standing still. Most balance exercises, including some I have already described, involve standing still and holding a position. That is valuable. But real-world balance is dynamic. You lose your footing while moving, not while standing. The body needs to practice catching itself in motion, not just staying upright on 2 feet. If your entire routine is static holds, you are training only half of what your nervous system needs. Mistake number 2, skipping the slow phase. We talked about this with the sit-to-stand exercise, but it applies to every movement. The slow, controlled, lowering phase. The eccentric phase is where your nervous system gets the most balance-specific training. People rush through it because it feels like the easy part. It is not. It is the most important part. Slow down every movement you do, and you will get dramatically better results in a fraction of the time. Mistake number 3, training for balance without challenging vision. Here is something most people do not know. A significant portion of your balance depends on visual input. Your eyes are constantly feeding your brain positional data, and your brain uses that data to keep you upright. This is a feature and a vulnerability. It means that when visual input is reduced, dim lighting, looking away, sunglasses at dusk, your other balance systems have to compensate. If they have not been trained to do that, you are at risk. The fix is simple and it is built into exercise 5. Exercise 5 is called the eyes closed balance hold. Stand near a wall, feet shoulder width apart. Close your eyes. Hold for 10 seconds. Open. Repeat 3 times. That is it. Do not underestimate what is happening here. The moment you close your eyes, your brain loses its visual input. and has to rely entirely on your vestibular and proprioceptive systems to keep you upright. For most adults who have not been doing this, the first attempt is humbling. A gentle sway, a subtle shift, a quick reach for the wall. That sway is information. It is your nervous system revealing exactly how much it has been relying on visual input and how much training the other two systems need. Over days and weeks, this exercise directly and specifically trains the vestibular and proprioceptive pathways to carry more of the load, which means that when you are in a dim hallway at night, or when you glance away at the wrong moment, or when you step onto uneven ground, your body has a much stronger set of backup systems ready to activate. A 2018 randomized controlled trial published in the Archives of Gerontology and Geriatrics have found that adults over 65 who practiced eyes-closed balance training for 8 weeks showed significantly greater improvements in dynamic balance, meaning balance while moving, than those who practiced eyes open training alone. The researchers concluded that eliminating visual input during balance practice forces the nervous system to reorganize and strengthen pathways that are not activated during standard training. That reorganization is what keeps you steady in the real world. The one with dim lighting and uneven surfaces, and unexpected moments. Let me bring this together for you now. 5 exercises, 5 minutes a day. And here is the order I recommend. You begin with the single leg stand, 10 to 30 seconds each side. This wakes up your stabilizing muscles and tells your nervous system it is time to focus. Then the heel-to-toe walk. 10 steps forward, 10 back, twice. This trains your real-world balance response. Then the sit-to-stand. 10 slow repetitions, lowering as gently as possible. This is your functional power movement. Then calf raises. 15 repetitions, slow up, slow down, near a chair. This builds your ground sensors. And finally, the eyes closed balance hold. 3 holds of 10 seconds each near a wall. This trains the backup systems. That sequence, done daily, is what the research supports. That sequence, done daily, is what Margaret and Howard and Ruth did. That sequence is what the physician behind this protocol recommends as a minimum effective dose for adults over 65 who want to protect their independence. Notice that none of these require gym equipment. None require getting on the floor. None require a trainer, a class, or a schedule. They require a chair, a wall, 5 minutes, and you. Now I want to address something directly because I know some of you are watching this and thinking, but I already have balance problems. Is it too late for me? It is not too late. And I want to be very precise about why. The proprioceptive nerve pathways we discussed, the ones that send positional signals from your joints and muscles to your brain, respond to stimulation at virtually any age. The research on neuroplasticity in older adults has become remarkably consistent on this point over the past decade. The brain does not stop adapting. The nervous system does not stop responding. What changes with age is not the capacity to improve. It is the consistency of the stimulus needed to trigger improvement. Which is exactly why 5 minutes every day beats 30 minutes once a week. Not because of calories, not because of cardiovascular load, because consistent daily stimulation of the proprioceptive pathways is how you keep them clear, how you keep the signals strong, how you keep the forest path open. There is a debate worth naming among physical therapists and geriatricians about the role of footwear in balance training. Some clinicians argue that performing balance exercises in bare feet or in minimalist shoes enhances proprioceptive input because thick-soled shoes insulate your feet from the ground, signals your nervous system depends on. Other clinicians caution that for adults with foot pain, plantar fasciitis, or neuropathy, going barefoot introduces risks that outweigh the sensory benefits. The honest answer is both sides have evidence. If your feet are healthy and pain-free, doing these exercises in socks on a non-slip surface may enhance the proprioceptive training effect. If your feet are sensitive or painful, keep your supportive footwear on and focus on the movement quality instead. Your comfort and safety come before any optimization. Before you go, I promised you a bonus. Here is one thing you can do in the next 10 minutes. Not tomorrow, not next week. That immediately starts working on your balance. Find a sturdy chair. Stand behind it, both hands lightly on the back. Lift your right heel, just your heel, not your whole foot. And hold for 5 seconds. And lower. Lift your left heel. Hold. Lower. Do this 10 times per side. This is called a single leg heel raise, and it is gentler than a full calf raise but targets the same proprioceptive pathways. For people just beginning, for people with significant balance concerns, for people who want to feel something today, this is your starting point. Most people who try it are surprised, not by how hard it is, by how much they feel it working. Here is what I want you to take away from this video. Your balance is not fixed. It is not a sentence. It is a system, and systems respond to training. The 5 exercises I described today are not a cure. They are not a medical treatment. They are a daily conversation with your nervous system, a way of telling your body, I am still here. I am still using you. Stay sharp. Consistency matters more than intensity. Always. Small steps, repeated over days, create the kind of change you can actually feel. In your morning routine, on your stairs, on your sidewalk, at the park, with your grandchildren. You do not have to do this alone. Share this video with someone in your life who has been quietly gripping handrails and hoping no one notices. You might give them something their doctor has not had 5 minutes to explain. If this helped you today, and I genuinely hope it did, hit the like button. It takes 1 second, and it helps someone else your age find this information. Subscribe so you do not miss what is coming next. In the next episode, I am going to show you the one morning habit that either protects or destroys your balance before you have even taken your first step. And most people have no idea they are doing it. Comment balance below if fall prevention is your priority. Comment movement if stiffness and mobility are what you most want back. I read every single one. And I will see you in the next video.